The Bundoran Weekly is brought to you by AIB, supporting local businesses in Bundoran. For more, see aib.ie.
Hi everyone, it's Shane Smyth, Bundoran Tourism Officer. It is Friday the 21st of January 2022 and you're listening to the Bundoran Weekly Podcast, episode 169, the podcast that talks about everything Bundoran. A little bit later on I'm going to be joined by Michael McGlynn, Artistic Director with Anúna and Manam, and he is going to be talking to me about his graw for Bundoran and his connection with the town, and looking forward to having a chat with him a little bit later on. Also going to be joined by Teresa O'Neill from Bundoran Community Centre in our Community Corner, and she'll be telling me about what is happening at the centre for the next couple of weeks, so looking forward to hearing from both of those. Meanwhile, let's have a look at the entertainment that's lined up in town across this weekend, and back at it at the Allingham is Tom Moran from 6 till 8 o'clock tomorrow evening the 22nd. Sunday afternoon then from 5 until 7 it's Mark Black in Key West and Kieran Mackery from 6 until 8pm. Bird's Nest Saturday 5 till 7:30pm it's music with Stuart Moyles, and Sunday evening from 5 till 7:30pm it is music with John Dolan, and elsewhere down the street it's Sinead McLaughlin in the Railway Bar, and again that from 5:30 until 7:30. Music also in the Phoenix. You can check out our listings or indeed their Facebook page. You can check us out at discoverbundoran.com/events. That's where all of the details will be for everything that's happening in town over this weekend, over next weekend, and over the weeks and months to come ahead as well, so do keep that website in mind. If the pub's not your thing, you can check out the movies, and Eclipse Cinemas in Bundoran have a great selection as usual, and new out this week is the movie called Belfast, which I'm really looking forward to seeing, and also Nightmare Alley, and Missed It Monday for this Monday evening is the Ghostbusters Afterlife. You can check out the full schedule on our website and also at eclipsecinemas.com. Elsewhere, looking into the future, I guess, Tommy Tiernan taking place at the Great Northern Hotel on Saturday the 5th of March. Tickets are available on Ticketmaster, but there is limited availability on those. The following Thursday then, the 10th of March, it is Mike Denver also at the Great Northern, and then on the 19th of March you've got Derek Ryan, and tickets are on sale at derekryanmusic.com/tickets. And of course St. Patrick's Day is in the middle of that as well, so certainly looking forward to that. Sea Sessions also available from the 17th to the 19th of June. Tickets there at Ticketmaster, and the Rory Gallagher Festival as well. You'll find more details at rorygallagherfestival.com. Elsewhere we have got Bundoran featuring on Droichead na HÉireann, which is Bridges of Ireland, and it's going to be on the 7th of February, so Monday the 7th of February on RTE1. It's a show that they filmed in Bundoran I think last August or September as part of the national series that they're doing, and a beautiful show it is as well. It's been running for the past couple of weeks on RTE1 on Mondays, but our episode featuring the main bridge here in Bundoran will feature on Monday the 7th of February at 7:30pm, so looking forward to that. And lest I forget, another event, of course, one which I'm involved in too, is the Bundoran 10, and that is the one that takes over from the Cara Bundoran Run. It is happening also on the 5th of March, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing lots of people taking part in that. It's a 10-mile run and a 10-mile walk. The walk takes off at 10am and the run takes off at 11am, the usual route, but you will find more details on our website, discoverbundoran.com/Bundoran10. You get the route map there and the registration, and you can also find the Bundoran 10 on Facebook and Instagram for all of the latest updates as well. You're listening to the Bundoran Weekly with thanks to AIB.ie, supporting local businesses in Bundoran and Ballyshannon. And still to come, we're going to be talking to Michael McGlynn of Anúna, and we'll be joining Teresa in our Community Corner.
The Bundoran Weekly.
So over the past year or so, I've been seeing some really beautiful photographs of Bundoran posted on social media, taken by Anúna official. And I really wanted to find out why Anúna are suddenly all around Bundoran. So I decided to catch up with Michael McGlynn, who is the Artistic Director with Anúna and Manam, to find out all about that. And first asked him when I caught up with him during the week to tell me a little bit about himself.
Well, I'm a composer, and my connection to Bundoran is very old, but it has been a huge inspiration to me as a place to come to, but also when I lived here, the memories of this extremely unique environment have stuck with me. I mean, Somebody asked me the other day, when you dream, where do you dream of and what do you dream of? And I said, I dream of Rogie Rock in Bundoran. So it's a kind of a strange relationship, and it's wonderful that I've been able to bring my family back here. And it's a safe, unusual place. I think it has inspired quite a lot of the music I've written. And more recently, I've started making films, and I've filmed quite a few things here in Bundoran. So I think I'm always anxious to get people to come here and to understand what a unique place it is to live and to visit.
See, you're nearly like my deputy.
Yeah, indeed I am. Indeed I am. And also from the social media angle, actually, that funny enough comes from my dad. If you look behind us, just over here, you'll see the Great Northern. My father was the manager of the Great Southern Hotel, which was what predated this, and his name was Mcglynn. Even though we were never related to the people that came after us, Andrew Mcglynn was the manager there for many years when CIE were part of the Great Southern franchise. And so I spent a number of years up here exploring on my own in the days when they let kids out to do what they wanted. So it's a wonderful association and great memories.
Fantastic. So you're not from here then?
No, I wasn't born here. I think you can probably hear in my accent that I have I suppose it's quite a flat accent. Yeah, because my family originally from Limerick.
Right.
And then I live in Dublin, but I've spent most of my life travelling. But we did spend quite a lot of time here, but I never developed the Bundoran accent. You know, and you can't put it on either. You really can't.
So one of the things, we're probably going to go around the houses in this, but let me talk about something that you did more recently, I guess. You did a video in the cave at the Trupney Pool.
Well, first of all, I have to explain that I'm the artistic director, which basically means I have a big whip. And I whip everyone into shape of a group that spans 11 countries. And many years ago now, I stumbled upon Surf World, and Richie was the boss in there, and everyone knows Richie. And I started surfing for the first time. And then I thought, God, this would be a great place now when I'm bringing my group together, because I have two groups. One is called Anúna, and the other one is called Manam. And I think Anúna would be best known in Ireland for their involvement with Riverdance back in the early part of the 1990s. But Manam is more recent, and that is situated in Iceland and Ireland. So over the years, I've brought various iterations of the group here, and more recently I had Manam here. And the Icelanders were saying, this looks just like Iceland, but much smaller. So we're the last point before Iceland.
True.
And I remember standing down on the beach there in the ice cold with Bjarni Gudmundsson, and he was looking out over the plateau and Ben Bulben. And I said to him, do you know, does this have any echo? And it was freezing. And he was wearing a thin coat. And he said, yes. He said, the mountains are quite like Iceland, but it's much warmer.
Right. Wow.
So they walk around in ice cold up there. It's a wonderful place. So I bring them here. I introduce them to the local nightlife and the local scene, and of course the surfing. And it's a relationship which I think is very close to us all.
Fantastic. You mentioned then Anúna and obviously the connection with Riverdance. Did Anúna form as part of Riverdance, or did that all just kind of come together naturally, or how did all that work?
No, actually, Anúna started here.
Right.
When I was very, very young, I was here when I was 10, 11 and 12. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I developed a connection to the land. I developed a connection which I hadn't had living in Dublin. And that connection is Donegal. It's not really Ireland. There is something magic in the water here, and North Leitrim and Sligo, that is quite different.
Yeah.
The love of water was the key. And I think that when I went to college and I made a decision what I wanted to do, I actually wanted to be an English teacher, but I ended up studying music. And from there, I realised that I had an aptitude for writing music. And I set up Anúna in 1987. And it started off as a classical music chamber choir because that was my training. But I got quite bored of that quite quickly. You see, because I was brought up in punk and I was brought up in David Bowie, and very much my associations with music were that. So I always thought, God, I must form something which kind of isn't really classical, but it's kind of a punk group. So I formed Anúna, and you could say it's a disestablishment punk chamber choir.
Wow.
And we set that up in 1987, and we did raves and we did all kinds of stuff. But I found that the audience were reacting to the music that was inspired by here.
Yeah.
So music I'd even heard in this area when we'd be up in Gweedore and you'd hear on Widenwarra, The Mermaid and things like that. Those kind of songs came back to me then. And I realised that there was a big hole in music. In that there was nobody trying to show people what it was like to sing with your natural voice, to talk about the real world and not be up on some stage and singing highfalutin classical music. So Anúna, by the time we were approached by Riverdance, we were 6 years old. So I think people, it's very, unfortunately in Ireland, and with the greatest respect to yourself, having worked in the Irish media, it's really easy to generalise about things. So it's much easier to think that Anúna were in Riverdance, created for it, and then went on like all those other cod Celtic groups out there. But Anúna left Riverdance in 1996.
Okay.
So we haven't been part of the group, 25 years. More than 25 years. And yet only here in Ireland, the association is just with Riverdance. We've travelled the whole world, continuing to do the things we did before Riverdance. But in Ireland, I don't think really... I think Anúna was very much ahead of its time. I see a lot of copycats out there. I hear the sound Anúna makes on soundtracks. You know, you're in some big blockbuster film and you think, did I write that? And then you think, someone else has been listening to us.
Right.
And over the years...
But inspiration.
Well, it's more that when you create something completely unique and new. Because in Ireland, you see, we don't have a history of classical music. So when I started out, it was really to educate people because I had come across it like out of nowhere. I'd been listening to The Damned and to Iggy Pop, and the next thing is I'm listening to classical music, and I've no idea what it is. And I said, God, this is great. Everyone needs to hear this. But it's quite an unattractive package. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So I made the pill sweet by making the people look good on stage. I stopped sticking my ass into their faces, and I turned around and I started to sing with the group. So we don't actually have a conductor. We sing without conductor. And we've now had about 250 people through the group, including some rather well-known ones like Andrew Hosier. He was with us for 5 years. And Emer Quinn, who went on to win the Eurovision Song Contest. Julie Feeney, who's a bit of an alt rock chick. And then virtually the entire cast of Celtic Woman went on from Anúna. So it's interesting to live in a country that doesn't really know what you do. And then you ask me if we were made for Riverdance.
Fun fact, I was in the audience for the final dress rehearsal of the 1994 Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, you remember it then.
I was one of the first couple of thousand people to ever see Riverdance. And
really?
Yeah,
I was in the audience as well.
Mad.
Yeah, I didn't
stage?
go on stage.
No?
No, I didn't. I had no interest in it, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't... Is that mine? Oh, that was mine. I wasn't... When Riverdance was done, it was a moment of serendipity. we were contacted by Moya Doherty. I had worked with Bill Whelan, and Moya Doherty contacted me and asked me if we could come on and open the show. And there were all these mad ideas about what it was going to be, and there was going to be a helicopter, and we were going to be on a raft in the middle of the Liffey. I mean, thank God we didn't. Yeah. My favourite moment was going out to Howth and filming out there in the middle of the night in freezing cold. And the shoot went on for about 5 hours, and they did this pan out, and Jean Butler was there, and we were all there, and it looked like it was filmed in a studio. So it
was that was the opening sequence.
Yeah, the
of
opening
Riverdance.
shot looks like it's filmed in a studio.
Yeah.
They didn't have the technology to do it really properly at the time. And then when it happened, you know, the Victor writes the story, and Riverdance people did not go crazy on the night.
Right.
Well, we'd won the Eurovision Song Contest. That's why. It was, poor
Paul and Charlie.
Paul and Charlie. I mean, for God's sake. And we'd been meeting them afterwards, and they were big stars after that. And Riverdance then developed slowly after that. But it was an amazing thing to be part of. But I'm very glad we were such a seminal part in it. I do know that nowadays that when I travel, people involved in music constantly come to me and they say, you know, when Anúna came on stage, fine, the dancing was great, but the moment that sound was made, there was something amazingly new about it. No one had heard anything like that in my end of the business, and it influenced enormous amounts of people. I'm sure you've probably heard of people getting their do you know, they get this comeback thing. I was recently, I'm sorry about the crows. Feck off, crows! That's a noisy crows. But
that's a new back then.
Obviously, and probably auditioning for a place in my group. No, I'm sorry, we're full, but you're wearing black, so you could probably get in. You're stuck. And you know, I meet people very often who say that it influenced them so much that it changed their trajectory.
Wow.
And as I was saying, you know, Gary Newman has suddenly come back now, and he's now considered to be the 9 Inch Nails talking about him and all that. And there's a whole new thing around where you're saying, you know, he's the father of synth pop. He was hated. He was absolutely hated when he came out first, and he was dismissed. And you know what? It's a kid of 10 listening to something and then goes on and leads a symphony orchestra or runs an animation studio, and they go, I remember that sound. That meant so much to me.
So what's next? I know we were chatting before we started, and you're going to Tradfest with Manam.
Yeah, that's actually our only Irish gig, I think. I'm not sure we're going to do any more concerts in Ireland. I think that day is done now, because Anúna no longer is Irish. As I say, there's 11 countries represented in it. It contains the essence of Ireland. It contains the essence in the history and the literature, but it is, I suppose, it's a wonderful thing when you get a singer in from Belgium who stands up on stage and he feels more deeply that connection to your own homeland. It's like you look at your own land through the psyche of these amazing singers. I mean, we've got composers and actors and performers and the dancers involved in Anúna. And I don't mean that we dance, because we only sing, but these are artists. And while we still have a number of Irish singers left, Anúna has graduated on. I think Manam, though, is more interesting for me, because that is 4 Irish guys, including Cian O'Donnell, from round the corner up in Letterkenny, even though he lived his
you might
youth
know
and
the blondie from Surfco, the blonde surf instructor from Surfco. He looks a bit more
well, you'd know him
Swedish.
from the Milky Bar Kid.
Yeah, that's exactly him.
You know who it is. Yeah, and Cian sings in Manam and Anúna, and actually he taught me to surf. So as far as I'm concerned, that connection to Bundoran will always be there. But we've lots of things coming up. We've tours. With tours in hopefully coming up in Japan. We've got some video game stuff coming up. We have a new album, which I'm trying to write here extremely ineffectually.
It's the crows.
Pardon?
It's the crows.
And the crows.
Distracted you.
Oh, no. And of course, the rest of the time I'm desperately trying to get into the water, but I don't know. I'm past that age where it's easy. You get in, You do your bit of surfing, you come out and you lie down on the couch eating chocolates for an hour.
Yeah. Listen, Michael, thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat to us, and we'll be keeping an eye out for Manam on the various platforms, and we can follow you on the old socials as well.
Well, you can, but I follow you. I have to say there's very talented photographers out there. But isn't it a beautiful place to photograph?
That's it, exactly. Listen, thanks very much.
Thank you.
The Bundoran Weekly.
Thanks, Michael. Lovely to finally meet you. Disestablishment Punk Chamber Choir. That's an interesting description of the music of Anúna, I guess. Thanks to Michael for joining me. Right now we'll head over to our community corner, and here's Teresa.
Thanks, Shane. So what we have coming up is the Valentine's weekend. And our Valentine's weekend is going to be a craft market for handmade of Bundoran. So it's on the 12th and the 13th of February from 11 to 4, and we'll be having a lot of live crafting. We're having basket weaving, we're having upstyling, we have somebody making bracelets and hairbands, and we'll also be having a stall to raise money from the Wild Atlantic Women's Group. That I'll be posting everything on Facebook, everything on Instagram. I'll be doing a story to show everybody how to get there. So the next thing we have is Food Cloud. Food Cloud is donation that we get from Lidl, and it's every Monday to Thursday, and it's free food, so anybody can come in. Again, I'll put everything up on Facebook, everything up on Instagram. Each day I will be posting, and we're open starting from next week. We're open from Monday to Thursday from 9 to 9. Then next up we have the museum. We haven't got a lot of people in the museum recently because it's just terrible weather. So we are opened from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, and the museum is free. A lot of stuff in Bundoran, so everyone can come in and check that out. The next thing we have is the Seafront Strollers, and that's Tuesday 10 a.m. and Thursday 7 p.m. We meet in the front in the foyer, and we just have a stroll around the promenade, and then back to the community centre for tea and coffee afterwards, and a chat. Everyone just likes to chat, and that's €2 per person. Then we have printing services. Printing services is something that we've had for a long time in the centre, but we now have a computer for public use. And so anybody wants to know anything, you can ring the centre, or you can email, and we will let everybody know. And our email is bundorancommunitycentre@gmail.com, and our landline is 071 98 29 675, and our mobile is 083 43 18 743. And you can get us on Facebook and Instagram, Bundoran Community Centre, and you can always call in a person. We are the old AIB Bank, and we're the yellow door, so call in and we're here.
Thanks to Teresa O'Neill there in Bundoran Community Centre. We'll have another community corner for you next week. That is going to do it for our Bundoran Weekly podcast for this week. Back with more next Friday, the 28th of January, and that'll be January nearly over, believe it or not. A bit mad, isn't it, that it's going so fast. I hope that you've enjoyed. Thank you indeed for all of your correspondence and for all of your feedback. I really appreciate it. You can catch up with us at podcast@bundoranweekly.com by email, or indeed find us on Facebook or Twitter at Bundoran Weekly. And don't forget, you can follow us wherever you're listening now, or indeed stream and download all episodes on demand at bundoranweekly.com should you have the mind to do so. And don't forget as well to tag your photographs on Instagram with hashtag Discover Bundoran for your chance to be featured on the Discover Bundoran Instagram account. That's it. Have a safe week. Have a good one. We'll talk to you next Friday.
The Bundoran Weekly is a production of Discover Bundoran.
The Bundoran Weekly is brought to you by AIB, supporting local businesses in Bundoran. For more, see aib.ie.
The Bundoran Weekly.